So again, I remind you, a week from tomorrow, you'll have a formative. And then 2 weeks from today, you'll have your summative on graphing and curve fitting things. Okay? So just a gentle reminder of that. But then it's also kind of nice because then in 2 weeks and a day, it's their last day of school for 2024. Get it? Dad jokes all around. Okay? All right, here we go. Here's your warm-up for today. So this is going to be like what we did yesterday, where we got a C value going on. Okay? Warming up, Chris. About 2. Domain. All real numbers. That's going to stay all the way through. Middle. 0 for now. That's going to change in about 15 minutes. Okay? So then we'll lose that one. That's all we can get for that one. Okay? Amplitude. 1, which means my high is 1, my low is -1. Range is there. Yes? Start. -pi. We're thinking opposite because it's inside. Correct. Period. 2 pi, which means my end is pi. Okay? Cosine regular, cosine curve starts where? Up, down, and up, right? Is this one flipped? Nope. Okay, so we start up, we end up. Oops, nope, I don't like it. Okay, middle is at 0. This middle, this vertical, my vertical axis, my y-axis is also going to be in the middle. Starts at -pi, ends at +pi. In the middle is 0. Halfway of the halfways. -1/2 pi and +1/2 pi. Like it. -1, 0, and 1. Agree? Yeah? Now, we're going to go through this next one with you. Okay? Because you got to pay attention to what it says. Remember that our basic parent, whatever you want to call it, is y equals sorry, I lost my voice there. And we got either cosine or sine. And then we've got b, then we've got x minus c plus d. Right? If there's not this extra set of parentheses in there, and there's a coefficient on your x, you've got to factor that b out first. Okay? So what I mean by that is here, that's all staying the same, but now I've got to factor out that x value there. So I'm going to have to factor out a pi. What would go inside this parentheses then? X plus 1 would go inside of there.
Why wasn't there a parenthesis in the top one?
Because there wasn't. We don't have to give you one there.
Why not?
Because we just don't have to. Yeah. So we have to, in order to graph it like we had, we have to make that. Yeah. Yeah. You got to make it.
Why wouldn't you, like, if someone were just to walk up to that problem and look at it, it would look like pi is the, like...
The b value?
Yeah.
But without that parentheses in there, pi is not the b value. Or I shouldn't say it. pi is still the b value, but your c value isn't what your c value is.
Nodding doesn't make any sense.
I know, but I'm waiting for you to ask a follow-up question. Because I don't know what you're...
It still doesn't, like, it looks like it's the coefficient.
It is, so you got to factor that out.
But why
To
would
get
that,
the c
why
value.
would that apply to pi as well on the other side?
Because that's all inside this set of parentheses. So what we did is we took this set of parentheses, or what's inside that parentheses, factored out a pi.
Oh, okay.
With me?
Yeah.
And then that gave me my b value now is pi. My c value now is -1. Okay? Domain. Domain. All reals? Middle. Still 0. One more example with it not being 0. Amplitude. 3. Means I go up to 3, down to -3. It's nice when the middle is at 0. Start value. -1. Period. Somebody said it, I heard. 2? 2. How do we find period again? I will get a drink. 2 pi divided by our b value, so 2 pi divided by pi is 2. If we start at -1 and our period is 2, where do we end? At +1. Sine function normally starts middle, then up, middle, down, middle, right? Is this flipped or is it regular? Flipped. Okay. So we can draw ourselves a flipped sine wave. Went down to -3, went up to +3, have a 0 value there. Went out to -1, went out to +1, 0 there, which makes this be 1/2, this be -1/2. Yes, ma'am.
How did you find the start again?
Think opposite of that value right there. C value.
But then what happened to this little number? P equals 2 pi over.
So we did that in our brain. We said period equals 2 pi divided by pi. That's why a period was 2.
There was no reading that, but okay, I get it.
No, we did it. We literally did it right here, out loud. We did.
Okay.
Yeah, I promise. Okay. Try that one on your own, and then we'll get into D values. Nope. Okay, because I got to factor out the 1/2, right? Which means I got to divide by 1/2 to factor that out. Okay? Or, conversely, when I multiply it back in, I got to be able to get pi. So 1/2 times what gets me pi? It's 2 pi. Yep. Yep. Domain? All real numbers. Middle's at 0. Amplitude. 2. So we go up to 2, down to -2. Start value. Starts at -2 pi. Period. 4 pi, which means it ends at 2 pi. Cosine, high to high, right? Flipped or not flipped? Flipped. This one is flipped. Come on. Come on. Doesn't want to come. There it comes. The question did come up last class, and I will just ask the question for you. What all needs to go on your graph? Okay? You need to have 11 things on your graph. Okay? First off, you got to have your horizontal axes. Second off, you got to have your vertical axes. Third, you got to have the actual graph. Okay? And then fourth, fifth, and sixth, you got to have the 3 vertical labels. High, middle, and low. And then 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11th, you got to have your start, your quarter, your half, your 3/4, and your end. Okay? So that's what we're going to be expecting that on all of your graphs next Friday on your formative, 2 weeks on your summative. Okay? Any questions, comments, concerns, clarifications on this one? All right, let's add the last part then to this so that we can just start just giving you regular old, here's a sine cosine curve, graph it. Okay? So Tuesday we talked amplitude. Tuesday we talked period. Yesterday we talked horizontal shifts. Okay? Today we're talking vertical shifts. So that D value takes the entire graph and moves it up if it's positive, down if it's negative. Okay? We don't have to think opposite with D because it's not inside parentheses. Remember yesterday we said we had to think oppositely with C because it was inside parentheses. D, we don't have to, it's just straight up, whatever it is, that's where our middle is. So our D value is in fact the new middle. Okay? So the only thing of the pieces of 9 that is locked in for every single problem is your domain now. Everything else is dependent upon your equation in the problem. Okay? All right? And this works also, too, for cosine. Same thing. Okay? So let's do one where we just have a vertical shift. And then we'll put them all together with all 4 of them. Okay? So, you'll see it's written in 2 different ways. These 2 different ways are exactly the same. This left one over here is kind of how we write it here at Wausau West. Okay? Also, it brings it back to the same formula as this. Okay? This right one over here, because remember, we are a dual credit class, this right one over here is how NTC likes to write it. And we mention this to you because you have to take the NTC final at the end of the year. At the end of this class, you have to take the NTC final. We don't get any say in how we write those problems. We have to write those problems as they give them to us. That's how they write it. Again, they mean the exact same thing. Order doesn't matter in addition. So it doesn't matter. Okay? Just so you know, you need to see them both. Okay? So, my domain, always going to be locked in at all real numbers. Where is my middle now? It's at 10. Okay, so my middle is at 10. What is my amplitude of this one? 1. So, you start at the middle. Amplitude plus gets you up to the high point. So what would the high point be? 11. Amplitude minus gets you to the low point, which would be what? 9. Those aren't going to be the same numbers anymore unless your middle is at 0. Okay? This one started at 0. This one had a period of 2 pi, which means this one also ends at 2 pi. Normal cosine curve. But here's the kicker. Our normal cosine curve looks like that when we put our axes on there. Because this is 9, this is 10, that's 11. Now, because we're not necessarily going to be right around our axes, either vertical or horizontal, if you choose to draw in, I call them the old, you guys remember when you were learning cursive in elementary school and they gave you that special paper where it had like the dashed lines on it so you knew how high to go with your cursives and stuff? I call it like that. So if you need to put in a high line, a middle line, and a low line, that's fine. You can do that, but they got to be dashed. Because if they're solid, we're going to look at them like they're an axis. Okay? If you choose not to do that, that's totally up to you. I'm just giving you another way to make your high, middle, and low lines throughout there. Okay? All right, let's put it all together. I love this one. I'll read it out to you so that you guys don't have to keep looking up. Y equals 4 cosine, open parentheses, 1/2, open parentheses, x, minus pi over 2, close, close, minus 2. Y equals 4 cosine of the quantity 1/2 times the quantity x minus pi over 2, then minus 2. We only know one of our pieces of 9 on this one. What is the one piece of 9 that we know? We know the domain is all real numbers. That's always going to be the same as long as we're in sines and cosines. Middle, -2. Amplitude, 4. Which puts me at a high value of 2, a low value of -6, which gives me a range here, -6 to +2. Start pi/2. Period is going to be 2 pi divided by 1/2. 2 pi divided by 1/2 is 4 pi. Start at pi/2. Period is 4 pi. Where do we end? 9 pi/2. Yep. 4 pi is 8 pi/2. Yeah, it was not negative. It was positive. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
For the the high and the low.
Mhm.
So you did 4 plus -2 equals the high. But
Yep.
then 4 minus.
No, -2 minus 4.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So -2 plus.
Yep. Add this to this, subtract this from that. Yep. Cosine curve high to high, right? Flipped or not flipped? Not flipped? There and there-ish, I would say. Because down here is -6, up here is +2, and the middle here is at -2. Yes? Okay. Pi/2, 9 pi/2. 1 plus 9. 10 divided by 2. 5, so that's 5 pi/2. Now here's the kicker for the quarter and the 3/4. Normally, it always was wherever our axes hit it, correct? We don't have that luxury anymore, okay? So we have to go over here to where it is and then go up. Okay? We have to see where it intersects that midline and then go up from that. See where it intersects your midline and then go up from that. Okay? 1 plus 5 divided by 2. 5 plus 9 divided by 2. Questions, comments, concerns, clarifications? We Emeril Lagasse, gonna kick it up a notch. Here we go. y equals 2 sine of, what are we factoring out? Negative 1/4. And if I factor that out, I'm left with negative 4 pi.
Yeah, because the b value is negative. So, you can just take the thing.
Domain is all real numbers. Middle is 3. Amplitude 2, which means I go up all the way to 5. I go down all the way to 1. So my range is 1 to 5. Start value. 3 minus 2 is 1 for my low. 3 plus 2 is 5 for my high. 4 pi? Period. 8 pi. Go ahead.
What if that 1/4 is it's negative? You should put on the 4 pi up top.
Negative times a negative is Is that what you're asking?
I guess. I don't know.
Period we said was 8 pi.
What is it? 8 pi.
2 pi divided by 1/4. Right? Period is 2 pi divided by 1/4. Keep, change, flip.
No, I got it.
Okay. So then where's my end? 12 pi, yes. Go ahead.
Since we're adding pi, can't we use the obviosity just to the sine?
What do you mean?
Well, if you add pi to the sine wave, then
But then you're changing the whole, but you're changing the whole problem here. That it's still going to graph the exact same thing. Yeah. Yeah, because then your angles are going to be at different spots. Yeah. Sine curve, right? Middle high, middle low, middle. Flipped, not flipped. Flipped because we got a negative b value, right? With me, Nordstrom? No, of course she didn't. With me? Draw the curve first. Okay? Middle value is at 3. So we're there. Start is at 4 pi. So we're there.
What's the c value? This is the first two guys.
1, 3, 5, 4 pi, 12 pi, 8 pi, 6 pi, 10 pi. Yes, ma'am.
Why is it going the negative way?
Because we have a negative b value. Okay? Negative a values flip both of them. Negative b values flip just sine. Okay? And that's from this, what we learned in the obviosities, this one. Okay? Try that one. Equals 2 minus cosine of 1/2 x plus 6 pi. Yes? Yeah. Okay. Domain is all real numbers. Middle value is at 2. amplitude is 1. So that means we go up to 3, down to 1. It starts at negative, nope, correction, wrong color. Stay color consistent. Starts at negative 6 pi. My period is 4 pi, which means it ends at negative 2 pi. Okay? Cosine is high to high. Flipped, not flipped. It's flipped, right? Because we got a negative a value. And so we go to 1 to 3. Yeah, buddy? In your homework packet that you got today in class, or at the door, okay, that's right. You can do numbers 1 through 12, which is the first 6 sides. Okay, there's only 2 on each side.
Oh,
Just asking for.